going on, everyone?
Hey,
We are
internet.
live.
We are live in Memorex.
We are live.
Woo.
Definitely
Memorex.
different. Live in different futures. It looks like he's in the alternate.
Yeah, Steel City's in the future now. Yeah,
True.
He's
Well,
also
actually, in the
3
past.
hours ahead.
He's
Oh,
actually
you're in
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not. I'm 3 hours behind.
So-
And there's a reason that we call this podcast operation Nerd Encyclopedia Transcontinental. It's because we go all across the continent, but not outside of the continent. We don't play around.
Just
There's
transcontinental.
Europe, Asia,
Yeah.
nope, just within.
Yeah,
That's how we do it.
definitely pulling the page out of Cable's book with the 3 hour time difference. So that's cool. Glad everybody can join us this week. But yeah, another double dose, right? So I mean, it seems kind of weird that they give us two at this time frame, but based on
It's
what we
not
were
weird.
thinking, it was calculated, right? They have some ideas, or maybe they needed a break, as far as they didn't want to oversaturate, right, and run things together. I don't know how well. We never pulled the numbers to see how well Andor and what was simultaneous with Andor. Didn't we run into this last year with Andor?
What
Was it
happened
season
now?
two? Wasn't when they did the simultaneous shows, they had
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars
Yeah, right. And Bad Batch on at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
I don't
think
know
I think it was Andor.
So, I don't know how well that was. So maybe they want to keep that break in between. Plus, it's running up against all the big announcements at May the 5th and Star Wars Celebrations. No, that's May the 5th. Celebrations already happened. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and obviously the D23 Expo coming up. That'll be a big ordeal with that. So, without that being said, guys, we're going to review episodes 10 and 11 this week. But before we even dive into that, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people, your favorite website where we give you all your favorite social media at Nerdcyclopedia. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. If you're listening to us on podcast, we are now on Odyssey. So your favorite Odyssey app, tune in to us. We're also on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. We are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you as well. We're at a Carbonite Bounty BS, a Star Wars group, where you're getting all your favorite memes, all your favorite Star Wars content. We just talk about everything Star Wars on there. Also, make sure that you're hitting us up on email at nerdcyclopedia.com. We're making sure that you're getting all your feedback in, and we're reading all your feedback and stuff. So we definitely appreciate you.
Well said. Well said. And
Shout out to Steel City for producing the show in Vegas.
sure, man.
This is
In the past, they're not. The technology has actually changed from his time to ours.
I gotta say, it's weird because like we've been doing this show for like, I don't know, like the Carbonite Bounty BS is probably 3 or 4 years old, and we had Nerd Encyclopedia longer than that. It's been like 7 or 8 years. We've gone through like what, 5 or 6 generations of the technology.
Technology. Yep.
Only the last 2 have been any good. If you want my honest opinion.
We're about to go through another one. We're about to go through another one with these 2 episodes.
Yep. Hey,
it's true. So,
Right.
so yeah, like if you told me 5 years ago I would be effortlessly, handling this from my phone, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. But hey, it is what it is, and as long as I don't get too fancy, I think we'll probably be all right. So good news for everybody.
We need a Poe drop at some point.
I don't do those, so we should be exactly as capable of those.
Right.
We'll get it together.
No.
All right, guys. I appreciate the team coming together with my absence.
Good stuff. But yeah, we'll let you DP. We'll let you lead off this week. I mean, what did you think? I mean, wow, it was amazing.
Hey, guess what? I hate the Empire. I mean, that's just I can't. There's not a lot that could be said about with the vibes of these 2 episodes. Episode 10 was probably the most emotional Bad Batch episode I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was a bottle episode. No Bad Batch, members. Our main crew. We just had Dr. Carr, Star, and basically she's she's at odds with, some of the stuff that's happening there. And she has to compromise her, feelings for, her duties as a doctor and, go through all that. I mean, the animation was just beautiful. If you have a child, you have children, and
you have a child.
Sensitive.
And you're seeing the things that the Empire is just doing, to the children, to the kids, taking kids, punching, take a test for, test on them, taking out their parents and everything. It's like kind of brutal for do we want to call this a kid show? No, this is strictly an all ages general audience show that if you have kids that's watching it, that's fine. It's going to be mature themes such as this one that bring it to the effect of how
and they won't understand it. They won't understand it, so we're fine.
No.
So right over there.
Hey, but it makes Steel City is our resident historian and everything. And the way empires work and the way they do things and the way they just take advantage of certain situations and take advantage of people and their capacity for being, I guess, good or being passive or whatever. You had the mayor come and say, why did you attack us? We didn't do anything. We didn't provoke you or whatever. And then the people with the guns, they had the upper hand, so they do what they need to do. I mean, the Empire, I mean, I don't know how much you could hate them more. I don't know if you can even condone anything as far as their, presence and stuff. I need to hear an argument from certain people, on how on how you could just condone any of this. But it was a great couple episodes. I didn't even get into the second one. Second one was just great as well. But episode 10 was it was top notch to me.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Hitch?
Oh man, I agree with DP. This one hit me right in the feels, and I have a younger daughter, so for me these ones where they mess with the toddlers, I mean, I really hate that. It makes me really hate the Empire too. And I was thinking to myself watching this, I was like, man, DP hates the Empire so much. He's so right to hate him. Like I was like, I knew he was gonna hate these guys on this episode. So we have this whole, Harry Potter 1. Harry Potter kind of did this thing where he couldn't control magic. And we have this kid that's too powerful for their own good, and they're attracting attention. And who else should you attract attention from but Cad Bane if you're gonna have someone competent? You want the job done in the Star Wars galaxy, you hire Cad Bane. That's going the deluxe route. That's getting the Uber comfort. You know what I mean? He shows up, he's got a very nice SUV. So that's one thing I think that's very interesting. The whole, DP, you talk about doing things to kids like experimentation, and you're talking about you only talk about the worst people ever in history. You know what I mean? That there's a stratum that is so notorious and vile that you say the names of people implicated in those sorts of things like Mengele, and you don't ever forget them, right?
Right.
So to me, this episode really hit and made the Empire really, really gross and terrible. And I like that they did that. And look, they made the Empire do something else that the Nazis did, where they rolled up into town with guns and forced everyone out. And we'll see what happens next. You should be glad we're only doing what we're doing. I mean, goodness gracious, they just are tying the Empire closer and closer to that Nazi Third Reich, and we know that this is something they're just going to keep doing. I mean, look, it's the beginning of Star Wars Episode 7. Is essentially this exact scene, but with a different cast of characters and different types of stormtroopers, right? So, I really, really, really enjoyed this set. I think having this conflict of ethics in in this doctor, right, Dr. Carr. I mean, it's brilliant to do this and to see how she's led down the primrose path and she wants to do good things. And now, what's she going to do for these kids? I mean, there's that doll that said something that she kept that thing, and it's interesting. One of Omega's powers seems to be that she can make everybody really like her a lot. She just gets rid of views everywhere. Visser and wandering around. So to me, these were excellent episodes. I mean, man, the plan just go into pot, and now they're kind of back at square one. It'll be interesting to see how they wrap it up. But I really, really enjoyed these episodes, even though they were very, very not light duty, right? Like very, very, very tough to watch.
Yeah.
Interesting comments, gentlemen. Let me start with this. What I felt about these. First of all, it was strategic why they did 2 episodes at once, because they had been reading my mind for the past 3 weeks that I wanted to see another one. Like right after this one, I want to see another one. So they did it. These 2 episodes run together. I think they actually could have weaved them into one by doing, smooth pans. I think the story could have been sort of welded together. I liked, for argument's sake right now, gentlemen, the way we had a basically Empire-driven episode. The Empire steered this one. If you want to have something done, then you must contact the people that will do it. Cad Bane was brought into existence by the Empire for us to enjoy week after week. Subject matter, I think we're getting answers now. They're revealing things. Is it too much for you? Do you not want to see them testing on the children right away? They didn't show us.
No.
They didn't show us Necromancer until now. Now we see what they're going after. And I see a lot of parallels between this Star Wars universe and the next one that we'll see with Anakin Skywalker slaying younglings. I think there's a lot of history between the Empire and studying children for medical purposes only. We do things to make things better for everyone.
So just so you know, international law has determined that is not okay.
But in this universe, it gives us the story. It drives our interest, and I like watching them. I like watching to see how down in the drain can you get with the idea, with the entire slogan is galactic peace. That's the Empire's mantra. Galactic peace and order. It sounds a very good game, but doesn't it? The brighter the sign, the darker the basement.
Man.
So I think what happened in this episode, like you said, Steel City, they do draw and connect parallels between the Empire and the Nazi Empire. Okay. It existed. We know it happened. What's the big difference between our empire and the Nazi Empire? The Nazi Empire ain't around anymore. Very, very blatantly put. What do we still have? An empire. It's just a new thing. It's now First Order. We're not even sure where it's going to go from that. We have these acolytes that are going to feed into this too. Like, we're going to see an opposing imperial force. I say the Empire builds character. And the reason I say that is, what do we have in actually this episode and the next one? And I want to call out one other thing. That parking spot in the mountain that every spy seems to know about. I'd park someone there, because damn it. I mean, that's a hole. That's a big hole. I mean, Ventress parked there. Now we got the cloaked Mandalorian clone disintegrator parking there.
Hey, hold on their cell phone.
That's the same mountain. Anyway.
That's 100% tech.
And then we got the Omega story in 11, and we got a lot of tie-ins. And I think now, and I'll just end my review with the end of 11. You had one job. You had one thing to do, Crosshair. just hit the back of that ship as it's launching at 186,000 miles per second from the. He should have practiced with fruit more. Honestly.
I mean,
long live the Empire.
Right. No, you guys all really pretty much summed it up, you know. I almost feel like I want to say I told you so, but I told you so. You know, it's everything that I kind of predicted. Like, I don't know, maybe episode 3 or 4, we discussed what we thought was going to happen. It seemed to come to fruition, but I'm really excited for this, man. As we discussed, episode 10 is just like, you know, no necessarily action, but the story building, the character building, bringing things together, basically culminating that first and second act of the series, and really tying in, because you know the things we were talking about is what's going on with Tantus, right? What's going on with Tantus? Like they literally, and I was like watching the timer on the bottom of it. They literally summed it up in about 12 minutes of an episode, which is crazy. In 12 minutes, they basically explained everything that's happened this whole season, seasons past, what's going on, and kind of summarize what this Project Necromancer was. So for somebody to do a summarization in 12 minutes, I just want to know if Filoni was doing those Cliff Notes we used to get back in the day. Remember those hits? What were those called?
Cliff Notes.
It was Cliff Notes.
No.
Sure. Yeah, you get them, and they were basically like the Wikipedia of any book.
Yeah.
Just to explain, like,
exactly you can get Star Wars Cliff Notes. There are Star Wars ones you can get.
He's literally Cliff Noted everything. So I mean, I'm just excited for this.
Darth Vader loves Empire, hates children.
But no, man, I'm ready to dive into discussion this week because this was great episodes. Yeah. But like I said, I kind of knew that she was going to get captured. There's just not enough time for them to really like magically find a map to this planet or nothing. So it was the only way to really like anything happen. But the biggest thing was like this, did not know that's now tech. I mean, the goggles were like the biggest smoking gun.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Oh my, come on, Ken. The goggles are like the biggest like token like.
The only thing that I would say, the only call out is when Scorch says to him, eliminate them. And he says, he reacts a little bit, but then he says, okay, he'll eliminate them, but he's really just going to stun them. But, you know, he wasn't really going to knock them out. So maybe deep within inside the brain scrape, that could be tech. But, you know.
It was, I think the tablet gave it away too when they showed the characters. Like, why would, you know what I mean? Why does he have a tablet of one of them? And he said, like, your brothers will be with you. Like, these are all, like, clones that they were able to control. So I was just like, yeah, that's 100% tech.
Could be.
If they wanted to show the goggles, I wouldn't have believed it. But
so maybe we should talk about the children, because everyone seems very, very strongly disturbed by the Empire studying children. And
I'm actually not disturbed. I'm not disturbed.
I'm
not disturbed about that. No, not at all.
So they're just taking these kids that are all throughout the galaxy, and they're taking them and concentrating them in a camp. And that's not
in
the
one
worst
place.
thing.
In one place. It's more. This is more of a detention unit than a camp. Let's
we're
get
saying
the
that
verbiage
they're collecting
right.
children, right?
But we're taking them from everywhere, and we're putting them in one place.
In detention.
Are you ready?
I see what he's doing. I see what he's doing.
No,
yes.
because you know what's going on. Did the Jedi Council not do the same thing
with everybody in one place?
Did they not do the same thing on Coruscant? Come on now, it's the same.
It's not the same
energy
thing.
Even
because the Jedi weren't taking these children and studying them to gain knowledge for their own nefarious ends, to extend their own lives at the expense of the children's life, which I think is the huge implication.
I've never heard of Parents' Night. I've never heard of Parents' Night at the Jedi Academy. No Parents' Night. There was not a thing.
Kids and their families. Look at Obi-Wan, right? That was
how else are you going to get them? Yeah, that's a big story. And the best subject, the best specimen they're going to have is the Chicken Hawk kid. He's going to because they're getting him young. And what did that stormtrooper said? He'll be less trouble.
Analytically,
think about this.
it's a difference when stealing a child versus having a conversation with a parent and saying, okay, well, he best fits here. I mean, sure, the outcome is probably the same, but the act itself is way more nuanced than that.
I don't. Okay. If you read more, the Jedi weren't just.
I don't think
the Jedi weren't just taking children willingly.
I don't think the Jedi were running through Jimmys every 3 weeks. Then they had to get a new Jimmy and call out, Cad Bane and go pick up another Force sensitive kid. Right. You know what I mean? They were bringing them in and they were. It's like almost the Jedi were almost like how they develop like soccer players in Europe, right? Right. You get them real young, you bring them up, and then hopefully later on they develop into something. The other thing that I think is important to remember is, Force sensitive people can't hide that they're Force sensitive, and I think this episode illustrates that to a very good degree, because if you were trying to, live a regular life and people realized you could do telekinesis, for instance, you would have a hard time doing that. You know what I mean? Like if you could pick up stuff with your mind and move it around, you'd be at least on Fallon every so often, and that's a living. So as far as I'm concerned, you can't hide if you have the Force, and that's the real issue. Is if you don't go out and get these people, the bad things always happen. And they have this and what's great about the galaxy is they have thousands of years of history with millions of examples of, we didn't get that kid, and look, a terrible thing happened. That's the way I feel about it.
Take your telekinesis example and put it in the real world and everything. He's lucky, or he or she is lucky they even got on Fallon or whatever, because at some point, some government entity is going to come and get you and say, okay, this is something
And who is that? Charles Xavier? Right?
There's no Charles Xavier.
Swoop out of the sky.
We just got Magneto.
No.
That take your Force abilities and take them away, like a school.
With the media, conspiracy theories, that being is going to be scary. I mean, it's going to be represents a fear that's not. I mean, this whole nother conversation and everything.
Regular ass people with no Force sensitivity lead cults all the time. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing, right? Is that if you don't have somebody in a rigorous moral training, they will abuse this power, and the younger they're discovered and given that power, the worse it is. And that's, again, one of those. We don't have to look to the galactic history. We can just look to the local history and see example after example after example of, I don't know, Caligula's, for instance, just to pick a name. There's so many other ones we could pick, but that's. I'm sensitive to people that say, hey, it's not the best, it's not optimally to do, right, to remove these kids. But I also think that what their history shows is it's the best thing to do given what other things that are going to happen.
Which we're not sure. We're not sure yet exactly what the drive is. If you ask me, aside from being separated from their families, okay, let's take that out of the equation. They're not being treated poorly. I mean, they sit and they do these exercises with their mind.
He kidnapped the kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stunned
the mom.
Did he stun the mom?
Let me remind you, we had a splash.
It looked like a stun shot.
Cad Bane at the beginning of our show.
No, I feel like if they meant for us to know, like if Cad Bane kills somebody, it's not some question on the show, right?
It's a stun.
They're laying like this. He kicks them. You know what I mean? Like they don't.
This was a stunned. She was stunned. She wasn't dead.
But the bottom line is he kidnapped the kid.
No, right? No, it was a mark. It was a mark. He's a bounty hunter. He was given a mark. He procured
this child for the legitimate government of the galaxy. To I think where we really get to, I think maybe
for the medical division
here is that
for the medical division only,
for the government of the galaxy, and that's interesting, because what this says is that if there's legitimate government that has legitimate purposes and they do something legitimate,
which the Empire is,
which the Empire is not, because they are not a legitimate government. They exist because of a coup against democracy, and they're founded on abuse of power.
To Ken's point, Steel City, they consider themselves a legitimate government.
Yes,
it's true.
And enough people on their side,
eyes, they are legitimate.
And I don't see any other government around right now, anyway.
At a certain point,
I see the Empire sort of ruling everything.
You see Empire posters everywhere. We're the government, so
The
legitimate government. It's just Palpatine, like.
Yeah. Do you want me to leave a dreadnought in your atmosphere?
Like, I think Palpatine would have gone on to try to humanize himself. He'd be like, "What do you know? I know you all love me, or else." And then he just like zaps Jimmy, and everyone claps and applauds because they realize it's a terrible idea to cross the Sith Lord. I wouldn't do it. I don't want that smoke.
Tarkin.
But anyway, this is what they're doing to these kids is much worse than what the Jedi were trying to do to the kids.
Okay, Ken. Legitimacy is in the eye of the beholder.
What are we talking about? Legitimacy? Just I can't even say it. Are we talking about that, or are we really talking about what is the Empire going to do? Like, they need this mix of their blood. It's not necessarily the humanoid. It's the blood, and then they need Omega because they need to make more blood. What's he doing? What is behind? What's actually going on? That's what I want to know.
If you said to me that they could have a legitimate purpose, if you told me they could have a legitimate purpose to doing this, I mean, okay, it's possible that they could have a legitimate purpose, or the reason they're doing it is so urgent that the ends justify the means, or something like that. However, we know that's not the case, and that what's in that secret, Pulp Fiction style briefcase that they call the vault, right? Whatever's in that is probably just that messed up Palpatine clone. Like, we know what that is, right? We all understand that. So, how is that how is that urgent or justify,
to the Empire it is,
and presumably doing medical tests on them until they die, right? Like they're going through. There's only 3 kids there. It's not like Cad Bane said this is the 4th one. That's not what he said. How many times have you done this? That's 4. He said so many times, I've forgotten the number.
They probably took like
so I don't know. So to give them the benefit of the doubt in those circumstances.
They turn them into stormtroopers after they're done experimenting on them. They turn them into stormtroopers. What do you think FN 2187 was? The
Geneva Convention.
And if it wasn't for this process, we wouldn't have this character.
So just so you know, the international community has spoken. I'm not saying it's bad that the story contains these acts, and that the characters doing them are despicable, and that we should understand that. I mean, I get it. Like, these kids aren't really getting hurt. That's why it's not literally. That's why Dave Filoni is not literally as bad as Joseph Mengele, right? He's not literally doing these tests to these kids. So you're right.
Well,
you're correct in what fiction is.
Maybe we don't know. We don't know where Dave's actually going to go with this. The next episode could be them being mind scraped and torn apart. Who knows? Because we know that right now, this level of Disney has no problem in showing us that stuff on screen, like violence on children. We have absolutely no problem anymore. So
apparently, they do not. We get violence against
women and children.
Yeah,
weekly doses of it. Whether it's on the Star Wars side or whether it's on the Disney side, it's all there. There's always some sort of horrible acts being done to children. Cinderella.
True.
Same thing. The children, the stepsisters were probably abused from a very young age, empirically, by their parents. It happens.
Are you saying the Cinderella? Are you accusing Cinderella's dad of some malefiction here?
Not Cinderella. The stepsisters, the evil ones. They were raised by brutal parents. Okay, Cinderella was the childlike character that was being abused by the stepsisters. So it's not an uncommon theme. Evil is always doing this, and what's the best thing to pick on and make everyone angry? A child. It just makes sense. It's an automatic. It's a story, right, DP? This is the way you would author the thing. This is the high point. This is the low point. Here's the victory. Here's our mercenaries that come in and drive us to victory. And that's, what are you going to?
It's a way to keep you entertained. And to segue back into the episodes, everything the Empire is doing is keeping me entertained as much as I hate them.
Yes.
So
you love to hate them. You love to hate them.
Keeping me entertained because we wanted to know, and this season is just hitting on all cylinders. It's like Steph Curry. It's like Steph Curry is like hitting threes left and right and everything. This season has just been just like 10 out of 10, a 10 out of 10 every episode. So I mean, they haven't missed yet. It's just been just great, just straight phenomenal. A season of television. So I applaud Filoni wherever he's going with this. As far as keeping on the vibes of music, the music you talk about this episode, episode 10, the music, low tone, slow and moody and everything all throughout gave you the real feels and
ominous.
Yeah. And ominous when the kids stuff started happening and all that stuff. So it just had you in the feels and everything. And how about episode 11? When that one portion when Batcher came and did his thing and everything. I'm like, okay, Batcher, I hate the Empire so much. Please get them. Please get the stormtroopers back here. Yes. I mean, you're rooting for people now.
Yep. Good and bad. We're rooting for the bad because that helps us get hyped up when we see the good prevail.
So they're building character.
I'm not rooting for.
Yes. The Empire's great at building character.
First of all, we know that the end result of this is so that somehow Palpatine will return. So that's one thing we know. The ultimate payoff of this is that somehow that will happen. So is it worth? Torture these kids to make that happen somehow? I don't know.
Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Maybe not.
I don't see any torture going on.
I guess it depends on who it is, who you are. And if you're running the Galactic Empire, you don't see any torture going on.
Galactic Empire.
You don't see any isolation, or I don't know. Nothing
like
that.
Right,
you're telling me you'd be fine spending like a month in literally the conditions these kids were being.
Right.
Oh well, but I liked episode 11 a lot too, and talking too much about those kids and their terrible fate that has been sealed by the Empire does do a disservice to the episode. Actually focused on the Bad Batch, which included a very serious injury to Wrecker right off the bat. Man, this agent is a formidable opponent, perhaps the most formidable they've seen. And as to who, I agree with Team Mitch. Tech is definitely a candidate for who this could be, but Crosshair, a correct clone of Crosshair, or just the original Crosshair, right, would also be a pretty wild option as well. When you think of this Crosshair could have all the memories of that Crosshair from a brain scrape, and could just be a messed up clone that can't do the stuff that the regular Crosshair can do, like shooting the pilot of that troop ship like he's the Baron in World War I, which is literally how the Red Baron got it.
And you're right. That was Crosshair.
That's crazy for him to do that just to crash the plane. I don't know. That felt very Crosshair.
And what would that Crosshair have done at the end of that episode? He probably would have put that tracker on that ship like he was supposed to.
That's a very Crosshair thing to do.
I just thought that the part that gave me away that was tag part number 2.
He would have made that shot.
How he tactically took out every way of escape. That's the way it was like, this is 100%. Because Tech was the one who knew basically all their protocols like the back of his hand. So the way that he tactically took away any way to escape, destroyed all ports, like it was tactically put together so there was no way for them to escape. Like he was steps ahead of them. And if you think about the Bad Batch outside of Omega, as they talk about, she's the only one that knows the protocols. They always ask her, what would Tech do? What was Tech's protocol? Oh, it was protocol, blah, blah, blah. So that's why it seemed like it was almost like a game of cat and mouse. And then I thought the giveaway was they showed her with the goggles, but in her mind, she's trying to outsmart him by saying that, hey, I have to give myself up. It was almost like she kind of knew, right? Like she was like, look, I have to go with him. Like something like she sent it.
It was drama. It was drama. She did it for the punch. She did it for the punch in the gut. That's where we needed it.
I think it was a master stroke by Omega, and I think this definitely sets her up for her own show down the road.
Yeah. So, does she have another comm hidden on her somewhere?
I was waiting for that reveal at the end. Like, where's the tracker or whatever that they couldn't find on Omega, right, but they just cut the episode. So I guess we won't find out until next episode. But I mean, for her to be taken again voluntarily, and for her not the way that they set up this season, that she's just smart. She has a plan and everything. For her to actually get taken and not have a way for them to get in touch with her, I just can't believe that she doesn't have some sort of master plan. Like T. Mitch said, it's a masterstroke of her, getting herself captured again, But for her to voluntarily do it, she has to have a plan in order to get them for everyone to find Tantus.
One thing I've got to go back to the kids for a second, because the kids, it's all about the kids in this whole arc right now. But think about even the basic things like the numbering system, like they had SP32, SP54, and our buddy was probably SP2187 back in the day, because he went through a similar experiment. And you see how even the Empire creates their own sabotage devices within themselves. Like they created Finn, and what happened to Finn? He went rogue. He left, joined the rebellion, responsible for bringing down multiple dreadnoughts, including a Starkiller base. So maybe this process is kind of they started it here, and now it's going to backfire in the First Order era.
But I mean,
it's same technology.
You bring an interesting point up, Ken, because if you think about it, that's the one thing that they don't learn, even Tarkin, as a general as he is people who aren't Force sensitive can't discover that, right? Think about the first 5 minutes of The Force Awakens. Who finds out that something's wrong with Finn? Kylo Ren does. Right. He looks at him.
Yep.
So he knows that he's not in line like every other stormtrooper.
And you can't hide that. You cannot hide that.
That's the one thing that humanoids or non-Force users can't detect. Somebody like Finn who may be going rogue or out of protocol. So that's really smart, like you're saying, as far as them using Force sensitive, because that's another kind of mole or hole in the
intel. Think about the Empire and their intel and their need for data and their need for communication and their need for information. So this is just a way that they can get this really fresh, prime subject specimen, mold it, make it a little bit angry, make it hate a little bit, and you create a weapon that you can at whatever time deploy, and then you need to retire it, you just turn it off and it walks off into the dark.
We talk about history,
like right? Or a robot.
Yeah. And in Hitchell, we talk about history repeating itself. If we think about the Force sensitive stormtroopers in The Force Awakens leading into the Final Order, how similar is that parallel to all the clones created? Because they're essentially programmed the same way, right?
Yeah. Except, and what are the clones are children too when we start. Right. Like they start.
But just think about it. Finn would be the Bad Batch, right? And whoever else defected from the Final Order, right? Because they were defective. They weren't able to be necessarily controlled or programmed. Because I guess the plot hole, now that I think about since we've watched this, would literally have to be that since we know that Palpatine was in the unknown regions pulling the strings, he had to have such a strong grasp on the Force that he basically, like he did with Rey and Kylo, he's basically Force controlling their minds of all of those stormtroopers like chess pieces, and he's basically hypnotized them all. That would be the way, and if they explain that, I can get on board, because that's the ultimate game of chess, right? That's the ultimate Force control, and he can do
it. Yeah.
It would have to be, but that makes sense if you would have all these Force sensitives kind of going in the same path like clones, because they wouldn't be brain chipped. He literally just has a strong grasp of the Force that he can literally change their thought process, like he did with the kind of false love story between Rey and Kylo that he manufactured in their own minds, which is crazy. So once again, a master stroke, and it's good writing. Now that like I said, they're starting to make the story make sense. So I can get on board a little bit with more on the sequel trilogy, kind of the idea. Now that I know kind of where I think they're going with this whole thought process of, you know, M count and controlling people and seeing the end of cloning. So instead of having clones, he can just now mind control Force sensitive due to his astuteness in the Force.
I mean, it's not the most ideal way. Oh, go ahead, Steel City. Go ahead.
Well, think about how expensive it is to produce a clone. I mean, you were talking those bottles and then training, and you got to get, you got to go through all this stuff. If he can get the same result, just picking some guy up off the street and send him to 8 weeks of boot camp, I mean, that's going to save him so much money and so much time, and allow him to have a much larger force because he can just get some schmo to just sit in the.
How about just Captain America in a shot, a couple of shots? You don't need a whole training program to build this weapon. All you need is a shot with the appropriate antibodies, DNA strains, blood sample. Boom! You now created a menace and a force. And if that has the generational power and knowledge that comes from the Force built into one shot, I'd probably want to try that, see what that felt like. So at some point, these specimens are willing, because this is a big jump from just sitting there playing Tetris on the table to becoming a full out weaponized humanoid soldier.
But we don't know that's what's going to happen to these kids. I mean, they're very likely
100% what's going to happen. No, not with the kids.
Be administered a test that's not caring of their safety.
Hemlock does not want these specimens harmed in any way. They are sacred for whatever reason. We'll find out. But even when the stormtrooper, the commando, stunned Jax, Emery completely. That was great acting from a cartoon. It was incredible. It was an emotional response she had that you overdid it. She was stepping up to this power that she knew she had no control over. And she could have been smacked for saying what she did. But she did. She stood up, and I think we're going to see her as a hero aggressor, because she's going to come from the dark side, but she's going to become someone that we can relate to within the Empire.
You know who Emery's going to become at the end of the story? I'm going to predict this. She's going to become Jen Erso.
Ooh.
She's going to be the one who blows up Tantus or sacrifices herself.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I mean. She's going to be the hero. I don't know they're going to be able to. I don't think that the Bad Batch are going to find that facility. I think they're going to fight their battle elsewhere, and it's going to have a reactive effect on the base. Like, for some reason, it closes up like the other one they found. They just shut it down. It's not producing. Tarkin even threatened that already. He said, your work doesn't come up with something, it's not going to abode for you. I mean, those are final words from your direct leadership. It's like, if you don't do it, you're done.
The final written.
Yeah.
Right. You better clone the Emperor this month, or else I'm afraid it's too blind for you.
You're going in an airlock without the safety. You're gone.
No super.
Well, the one thing it shows also is that based on the budget constraints, right? It shows that the Empire doesn't even have unlimited money. I mean, think about it. He's talking about it, and he's like, bro, like, where are you draining our cash reserves? Like, why do you keep? And he's like, oh, it's, you know what I mean? Like,
how much do we think that is? How much? Like, think about that. That was a concern for the Empire.
Based on where Tarkin is, it doesn't seem like at this point they have a lot of available free cash to be burning at this point.
I mean, let's pretend it's a man.
I mean, wouldn't this be this is pre-production of the Death Star, so they're essentially, I guess, getting together funds or whatever to make this.
They're calling in the debts. They're calling in everybody they loaned money out to get this surplus cash that Tarkin doesn't even know about, which is a little odd, because him and the Emperor were pretty close, leadership wise, and I think that Tarkin's not revealing something. I think because he's not that obtuse.
Right. Well, keep in mind,
not that I'm
this
a
is
Tarkin
after.
fan or anything.
This is post what was it? The Red Dawn, which was that syndicate that Darth Maul was controlling, right? So that was like he was controlling kind of like the Pikes and the underworld. So that was like where they were gathering cash reserves on one hand, outside of just, whatever Vader would be doing right now, and the planets, the systems he's taken over to get resources and funds. So as of right now, yeah, they're pretty stretched. So I'm imagining when he's doing all these missions to pay these bounty hunters, they're like, look, dude, we don't have all this available cash. And it's smart for them not to involve Vader to becoming the Grab Omega or something. So I like how they're keeping him away from this, because it could have been a simple, like having Vader just run up and, grab her. I mean, they could have made this show a lot more easier than it didn't need it to be necessarily. So I'm happy that they kept him away and they're letting the show drive, the way it is.
Do you really think that Tarkin's concerned about a couple 100,000 credits for a bounty?
Yes.
I think he's
looking at the balance sheet and he's like, bro, we're not, because think about it. If you're creating something, you have to have so much money, right? And if you see somebody keep taking money away,
I think he should be looking
Tarkin
at the permanently running ray shields. They run 24/7. Those cost billions of dollars to maintain. I mean, that's constant energy production.
But Ken, think about it. They have a budget for that. When you have a guy that just says like, I
Not
need
that
money,
much.
he's just taking money randomly, and they alluded to that when the Emperor told him like, the full disposals to your, because that was the Emperor and Hemlock. Tarkin has no idea about that. So when a guy's just going in the bank and just withdrawing money, not knowing what discussions you've had, he's probably like, bro, like, where are we going to make up this? You know what I mean? Where are we making up this surplus that you're taking from?
Yeah.
And don't forget that Tarkin is not a believer in any of this Jedi, Sith, the Force. Right. He just doesn't believe in any of it because it's BS.
Right.
So, imagine, if you will, me coming to you guys and telling you, I'm going to have to quit the podcast because I had to give, $500,000 to a cult that I didn't have. You'd be like, hey, man, that's insane. That's literally insane.
Maybe
but
what if they
literally did actually give me immortality, though? That would be a pretty great steal. So, what Tarkin doesn't understand is that the Emperor is right. He definitely can return from the dead in a clone. He definitely does need to do all these things. And it actually is in the budget. But he's got this guy who's just dollars and cents and is all about, production. And he doesn't see the value in some, what to give it a human equivalent, some enormous temple to, the flying spaghetti monster or something like that, right? Like, it just doesn't see the point of it. But look, the flying spaghetti monster actually will save you if you wear a colander on your head and think very hard about adding extra fresh basil into your sauce.
Yes, but I still don't think the Empire is concerned about Jabba the Hutt money. I mean, face it, that's what we're talking. We're just talking normal.
They are, though.
Pay to complete a job. I mean, I think Tarkin's big concern when you're talking about the Emperor is, what does that guy have up his sleeve or gown or robe? Because there's something big on the horizon, and it's not going to be something that the Empire bulk of the Empire political party is not privy to what the Emperor has planned. I mean, honestly, we know and we understand what's going on, but I don't think the populace does of the Galactic Empire. Leadership down.
I think that pretty quick, the Emperor is working to kick his detractors out of office, and all the way down to the end of the beginning of episode 4, when Tarkin himself is like, "Hey, the Senate's dead, so you don't have a special, you don't have any sort of special protection, and you're in my clutches. Hey, how about that?"
It's like magic. It's magic.
Anyway, just for a special treat, I called up your dad. He's gonna torture you. Enjoy. What? Yep, it's your dad. Really got him.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. We got him right here.
That
would happen to Jen Erso too. I mean, her dad was basically the orchestrator of what comes next with the Empire, right? So, I mean, I like that connection between, say, Emery or Omega. I mean, either could provide that foundation for Jen Erso. I think either way, I'm fine with it.
I think Jyn Erso has to have been born by now. I think because she's in her
born. She was
early
pretty
20s,
young.
but
Yeah,
she has to be older than like 15 or like
yeah,
like
right,
12.
yeah.
She can't be 12.
I always thought it was more like 19 or 20, right? Cusping on that.
All that age.
Mhm.
It's the greatest generation for them. Is
Right.
that you're 20 years old when the rebellion really kicks in episode 4. Greatest generation. Everybody knows who they are. You know, elected them office forever. Don't question their loyalty. Never. You know, that's how it is for those guys.
And you can slam dunk 2 stormtroopers by yourself in a prison truck. I mean, literally badass. So you've got a little bit of Bad Batch clone technology in her. I mean, you got a little bit of the force sensitive do-gooders with their M count, within it. So, I mean, I think we're seeing the creation of some of our favorite Star Wars characters in this whole process that the Empire is creating.
Well, I mean, to Hitch's point, so when Rogue One starts, would that young Jyn Erso almost line up to what is going on right now? Because that's another Empire general that is on the hunt for resources, right?
And the clones grow fast, right? They mature very quickly.
That could be a good parallel to Rogue One happening simultaneously as the show ends.
I think that's sense. So Rogue One is going to take place at least 10 to 12 years in the future from where we are here in Bad Batch, because there's no way, because Omega's like 11 years old at the beginning of the show. She's not 30. You know, we're talking about 20 years. Like Luke Skywalker's like 19, 20 years old when he goes off planet on Tatooine. So that's how long the Empire lasts. So we know she would have to be an adult, a very, not like
a young adult.
But, she'd be, in her third free agent contract if she was a really good Major League Baseball player, right? You're getting Kirk Cousins money, right?
A millennial, definitely.
But a younger one. She'd be
a younger one.
She'd be like 30, and not, 34.
Yeah, and not as snarky and like sort of objective toward the world. They're more caring. They're more willing to listen.
A younger millennial, for sure. But she's not. She's still a kid. So she's only like 13. So it's still 18 to 18 years left in the Empire. And Rogue One happens, 6 months before. Well, I'm sorry, 6 seconds before A New Hope.
6 seconds before A New Hope. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 seconds. Like, there it is. So, that particular scene's a long way off. But Omega would be something like 26, 27 years old. And if you said that, she would be wrapped up in that intelligence apparatus somewhere, I believe that. That sounds like logical to me.
That's her.
Yeah. If you said that she was just underground and kind of hiding and doing the Emperor's bidding and just trying to like stall for time and like not being successful and like taking over from Nala Se or whatever, I believe that too. So there's a lot of different outcomes that I think are logical from here. And I think the real question is, what do they want to do with this character? Like, do they want this character to be like another bounty hunter type character? Are they planning on sending them through the Jedi? Is this going to be one of like Luke's students who's coming to Luke when she's like 30 years old or 34 years old, right in the Mandalorian era, right? Because that's about how old she'd be, Mandalorian era.
I think we're going to see her story written pretty quick. I think it's going to be there pretty quick. I don't think we're going to have to wait. The Omega story.
Well, we're talking what? She'd be 65 years old if we're talking about the Rey movie. Which in a galaxy far, far away, that's not crazy old.
That's nothing.
So
time
that's
does not.
That's time. So those are basically the options, unless they're saying a new era.
Yeah, we need our Omega show. My teammate says.
I'm slow on this. Sorry, man. It's on the phone. Sorry, man. I'm not as quick on this.
Oh, you're good.
Oh well, but I think they could do a lot with Omega either way, and I think it says something about. It says something about the type of story they're telling, right? That those endings would all make sense, and it's what choice does the character want to make, and that's good writing because it decides like what's Omega going to do. Is she going to try to get word out? Is she going to co-opt this doctor into sending a message out to her brothers? Are they going to come? Like, there's so many things that could happen, and for them to take a step like this and kind of send her back the way where it is actually the best you can possibly do. Emperor's already messed up. I mean, they really have the stakes set really high for the rest of the season. And I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Emily is going to be the helper. Like, she's going to stay the course. She's going to keep her cover, keep Hemlock in the dark, and she's going to be the one that's going to get that message out to her fellow clones. Because when she finds out Crosshair's with him, I mean, you know, she knew about him and she felt a little bit of compassion for him,
right,
based on Omega's relationship with him. So, yeah, I mean, I think I wasn't too disheartened that Crosshair missed that shot. I keep coming back to that, but that made sense to me why it happened. Because if they had just got the tracker on the back of the ship, then we wouldn't really have a story. Now we got a story.
Yeah,
because we have a huge hole, a huge challenge that our heroes have to get over, and it's not necessarily rescuing Omega, but it's finding Tantus and stopping it, because I think Omega can take care of herself no matter what. Bad Batch are just around to clean up the collateral damage, like most military forces.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great season so far. I mean, think about it. We only have what, 1, 2, 3, what, 4 episodes left?
4 episodes.
I mean, with 4 episodes left, I mean, if we're looking in the Filoni crystal ball, more than likely the Bad Batch aren't going to get to Tantus until the final episode. I mean, and they don't need a lot of time based on what we see. But I think that the final episode will be the all stakes one.
Do you think that's too much, though, for them to find the medical facility after 15 episodes of not finding it? You think they're going to find it on the last one and they're going to be able to wrap it all up?
They'll find it because they'll be in that within the next 4 episodes before then. Somebody's going to send them a signal, like we're talking about. Emery's going to double cross.
That's going to be the end of 2. The third to the last and the second to last episodes are going to be our. Yeah. We found it.
They're not going to find it. Somebody's going to get the signal out to them. Because think about it. Once Omega gets back, which will probably be the majority of the next episode of her traveling back, Emery finds out. Because Nala Se says she gave her the smoking gun. Like, what are you going to do, right? So she's already planted the seed in her head as far as like, are you going to go with this, or are you going to help save these children? So once Omega comes back, which is her sister, she's going to be like, yeah, basically this is fucked up. Like, what are we going to do? Because Emery's now going to be like, hey, like, what do we need to do to escape? We know you've already done it now. So I think that if anything, Hemlock's going to be in a jam because he has an issue with Nala Se. He's going to have an issue with Emery now. And obviously they're going to have to keep damn near Omega in, like, with Jackson quarantine or whatever the hell they call it.
Nope. I mean, Omega's gone and Hemlock's neck is cut. That's what's going to happen.
Ooh. I mean, the Emperor definitely will not tolerate more failure. He's not as forgiving as some of the other upper management types.
Nope. No. If you fail again, then you can fail outside and be an external customer for all we care.
Ooh, external customer. That's tough.
You might even get forced choked to one of those Teams meetings they have online. I mean, you might force choke him through the
my clown?
And would it be something you'd have to turn on, like when you need to mute yourself? You got to turn your force ability on.
I don't know.
Everybody turn your force abilities on. We're on team.
Right. Yeah, right. Or else we can't really start a meeting until someone's force ability's on or off.
I mean, we saw Kylo Ren do it. You know, a lot of we do have the ability to force choke through their little their digital teams
through the internet.
Through the internet, they have the ability to use the abilities. I mean, how Star Wars has progressed with time. It didn't start like that, but definitely they either left Skype in with the teams like everybody else, and they have the ability now to
force choke through the internet.
Through the internet. What an ability! Wish
I
had that. I mean, I hope they do because there's a couple people I have in mind. So
get them into a Teams meeting.
Won't say any names, but
don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, this is a live show, family show, which is nationally broadcasted and all over the
multiple
internet.
Platforms.
Yeah, multiple platforms, which said CEO or whatever may be listening, but probably not. So We'll just say, you know,
as long as he doesn't have forced choke ability through the internet, I don't care.
He doesn't. But that's another story. But guys, what a week! What a week to lead up. Glad we had two to discuss this week. And to be honest, I feel sad because like even with 10, I mean there was just so much in this to like we can go all night with this. There was just so much in these episodes, action packed, right? And there's so much I feel like we didn't even discuss because like the heavy themes are so heavy that. I mean,
the children.
Yeah, there was just so much to discuss, so many little parts that we're not even talking about. So it's cool that they did the two like that. But yeah, it looks like they're going to go one the rest of the way because it's going to end on the beginning of May. I think they said was the final episode. So May 1 is the finale, which gives us a little bit of time before the Acolyte comes out to get back to our lovely fan fictions, which we know all you guys are waiting to get into with us. So. Really appreciate everybody.
One last point. I still want to bring back focus to the parking spot on, in the mountain that these mercenaries, in the mountain, it's the same parking. Yeah. Okay. So why didn't Bad Batch like post something there? Some sort, because if they had known that the ship had parked, don't park here. Wrecker would write it. It'd be like the K would be backwards and the R would be falling off, and it'd be the K, the other K, and the E looks like a G, because Wrecker made the sign. So don't park here.
Poor Wrecker. Poor sleepy.
Right. Well, hey, at least he gets to finally take a nap for a little bit, right?
Yeah. he finally isn't part of the mission.
He finally gets his rest in this mission. So. That's another thing. Yeah, we're down to 2 now. It's only now Crosshair and Hunter, so it'll be interesting for a couple episodes to see if he's back. And I mean, I'm guessing he won't be operational next episode. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. And plus that, like, they blew their ship up. So I mean, think about this next episode. That's why I'm saying it leads to them getting a ship and getting there. Because think about it, the island's so dismantled right now. They have no way to get off. Their ship was blown up. Like, so they have to find a way for somebody to get there to get them a ship.
I think Fee is going to come into the picture because she's already suspect because she knows someone hacked her Nava computer.
Correct.
So she's going to be to the Bad Batch, and she's going to pick them up. She's going to pick the boys up in her ship, and that's how they're going to start this. Because I think Fee also has more hidden information in her Nava computer about Tantus. I'm just saying, because this mercenary.
That's a good point.
The mercenary droid hacked in, and I think anytime you communicate with a computer, it takes a little bit too. It takes a little bit of what is being the sending party. So I think that a little bit of whatever information the mercenary had about where this base is now in Fee's nav computer. I'm just putting some stuff together. Yeah, that's what I do. I don't do anything else.
I like it. But no, I really appreciate everybody coming on. Appreciate Hitch spending some time. It doesn't look too bright outside anymore. It's crazy.
Where's the cash? Where's the cash? Where's the cash?
Oh, I don't care. I'm not out here to gamble. Come on now. I don't play.
I want to see mountains of cash.
The only way to win is never to play.
Right.
There you go.
There's cool stuff out here. First of all, it is really cool, and like the strip is ridiculous. It looks ridiculous, and you can kind of see it from the whole valley. It's really neat. I mean, it's neat out here. I like it. It's dry. It's nice and hot. It's cool. So I give it a 5-star review so far. Can't complain. But no, I'm not gonna be gambling. Don't do that stuff.
That's good.
Oh, boo! Come on, play $10. Play $10 for me.
Shout out to the sponsors out there. Yeah, he said there's shout out to the sponsors if any gambling companies do want to sponsor us. We are open for hire.
Imagine.
That's different. That's different. Right. Endorsing gambling is one thing. But actually gambling is a different thing.
We could be a jukebox. We could be all the heads in the reels.
Right.
There's one casino where the house doesn't always win. The casino that pays me to say this.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. So
the Nerd Encyclopedia Casino.
We're open to all sponsorship opportunities. So yeah, we are not 100% anti-gambling. It just doesn't gamble, which is okay.
Yeah. I just don't because he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how.
I just don't understand.
Comfortable, he's not
I'm totally other people gambling, I don't have a problem with you guys, anybody else gambling. But for me, it's a pass. So it is what it is.
It's once again, I thank everybody for coming on this week. A great episode, great 2 episodes, and leading into episode 12 next week. So until further ado, guys, and next week, this is the way.
This is the way.
All right, enjoy the random bump since I didn't make a bump this week.